Hey movie buffs, ready for a throwback flick? Let's dive into A Change of Seasons, a romantic comedy drama that came out in 1980. It's a film that digs deep into the mess and magic of relationships. And boy, does it stir up some drama. Here's the scoop. Imagine finding out your spouse is cheating on you. Well, that's exactly what happens to Shirley MacLaine's character, Karen. Her husband, played by Anthony Hopkins, isn't just fooling around with anyone, it's one of his young students. But Karen doesn't just sit back. She flips the script and starts her own fling with a younger dude. Now, here comes the juicy part. Both couples know about each other's side action, and they decide to spend a weekend together at a ski lodge. Talk about awkward. But it's also hilarious and kind of touching as they all try to figure out where they stand with each other. Production on A Change of Seasons was a roller coaster, with producer Martin Ransohoff having to manage three big star egos in Shirley MacLaine, Anthony Hopkins, and Bo Derek's husband, John Derek. A constant, and some claim disruptive, presence on set. Rumours spread in 1980 that John Derek helped get original director Noel Black fired partway into production, though that claim is disputed by producers. As for Shirley MacLaine, she was concerned about her acting being shown up by the hype surrounding Bo Derek. And Anthony Hopkins. As a classically trained actor, he wasn't exactly excited about being in a sex farce, and had to be coaxed into appearing in some of the sexier scenes in the movie with his co-star Bo Derek. Hopkins also voiced frustration over Bo Derek's unwillingness to rehearse scenes and the ways in which the film was rewritten to accommodate her. Critics weren't all over this one, finding it a tad shallow. But it is a rare chance to see Anthony Hopkins in a rom-com before he turned all serious with roles like the chilling Hannibal Lecter. Although it's not streaming anywhere right now, it's a perfect relic of its time if you happen to find it on DVD somewhere. Hey movie buffs, dive into the drama and romance of The Competition, a 1980 gem directed by Joel Oliansky and starring the incredible Richard Dreyfuss alongside Amy Irving. This film takes you behind the scenes of a nail-biting international piano competition where not just the keys are clashing, but hearts too. Here's the scoop. Richard Dreyfuss plays Paul Dietrich, a truly talented pianist who's feeling the pressure of his 30s. This competition is his make-or-break shot at fame in the tough world of music. Now he's been around the block, struggling to get that big break, and winning here could just be his golden ticket. Then there's Heidi Schoonover, played by the brilliant Amy Irving. She's the young, fiery competitor in the mix. As fate would have it, Paul and Heidi hit it off, and suddenly it's not just about the music. Sparks fly, but so do tensions, as they try to juggle this budding romance with their burning ambition to win. Now, let's talk tunes. The soundtrack is a knockout. Composed by Lalo Schifrin, it features some stunning orchestral arrangements alongside timeless pieces by Chopin and Beethoven. It's like a feast for your ears, setting the perfect tone for each scene, cranking up the intensity of the competition and giving us a peek into the characters' struggles. And did I mention the themes? The Competition delves deep into the world of passion and ambition. It makes you wonder, can you really reach the top without sacrificing a bit or a lot of your personal life? The critics gave it mixed to positive reviews, spotlighting the standout performances by Dreyfuss and Irving and their on-screen chemistry. Though it wasn't a smash at the box office, pulling in just over $14 million, it's carved out its niche among classical music enthusiasts and romance lovers. Amy Irving even snagged a Golden Globe nomination for her role. And for the trivia nuts, the film was released on December 3rd, 1980, now holding a 67% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.6 rating on IMDb. Feeling the pull of the piano? You can stream The Competition for free right now on the Tubi app. Whether you're in it for the love story, the music, or the high-stakes drama, this classic has something for everyone. Tune in and get swept away. Hey everyone, let me tell you about the totally rad 1980 flick, Flash Gordon. It's this vibrant, kitschy ride through space that takes its cues from the comic strips by Alex Raymond. Directed by Mike Hodges and produced by the legendary Dino De Laurentiis, this movie is all about blending humour with wild, non-stop action. So what's it about? Imagine this. Flash Gordon, just your regular American football hero, gets snatched up with his pal Dale Arden by this kooky scientist, Dr. Hans Zarkov. Next thing they know, they're whisked off to far-off planet Mongo, where the mean Emperor Ming the Merciless is cooking up a plan to trash Earth. Flash teams up with Dale and Zarkov and a bunch of alien rebels to try and put a stop to Ming's evil scheme. Who's who? Sam J. Jones is Flash, playing the charming space hero to the hilt. Melody Anderson is Dale, more than just a damsel in distress. Max von Sydow seriously brings it as Ming the Merciless, totally iconic. Brian Blessed is a blast as Prince Vultan, leader of the Hawkmen. And Timothy Dalton, cool as ever as the rebellious Prince Barin. Talk about eye candy. The film's a feast for the eyes, bold, bright, and kinda trippy. Think comic book come to life with some seriously wild costumes and crazy set pieces. They went all out to keep things larger than life, embracing that over-the-top vibe that makes it just so much fun. Rock on, Queen! Can we talk about the tunes? Queen knocks it out of the park with the soundtrack. That Flash RR song is just the beginning. The music's pumping, heroic, and fits the movie like a glove. Honestly, it's as memorable as the movie itself, cult classic status. Alright, maybe Flash Gordon wasn't a smash hit out the gate, but it's got a die-hard following now. It's influenced heaps of other sci-fi and paved the way for tons of parodies. The camp, the colours, and did I mention Queen? All reasons it's loved by anyone who digs 80s movies and sci-fi adventures. Released on December 5th, 1980, Flash Gordon's got this killer 83% on Rotten Tomatoes and a pretty respectable 6.5 on IMDb. Craving some nostalgic sci-fi goodness? You can find Flash Gordon on streaming rental services like Google Play. Go check it out and ride along with Flash to save the universe. Hey, movie buffs! Let's take a trip down memory lane to 1980 and chat about the film Popeye, directed by the legendary Robert Altman. This isn't just any movie. It's a musical comedy that stars Robin Williams in his first major movie role, bringing the quirky and beloved character Popeye the Sailor right off the comic strip and onto the big screen. And guess what? It's as odd and charming as it sounds. So, what's the scoop with production? Produced by big names like Paramount Pictures and Walt Disney Productions, Popeye features a screenplay by Jules Feiffer with catchy tunes by Harry Nilsson. Picture this. The movie takes you to the fictional seaside village of Sweet Haven, where everyone's favourite sailor Popeye goes on a wild ride. He's searching for his long-lost dad and trying to win the heart of the slender Olive Oyl, played brilliantly by Shelley Duvall. And yes, all the old gang from the cartoons and comic strips are there: Bluto, Wimpy, and Little Sweet Pea. Fun fact, the film was shot almost entirely in Malta, where they built this massive set resembling Sweet Haven. It's still there, now a kick-ass tourist spot known as Popeye Village. How cool is that? What goes down in Sweet Haven? The story kicks off with Popeye rolling into town, sticking out like a sore thumb. He bumps into Olive Oyl, and bam, it's love at first sight. But he's got to deal with her tough guy fiancé, Bluto. There's also this adorable baby, Sweet Pea, that Popeye ends up looking after. Through some spinach-fueled escapades, our guy Popeye discovers his super strength, faces his old man Poop Deck Pappy, and goes head-to-head with Bluto in a showdown you've got to see to believe. What did people think? When it hit the theatres, Popeye stirred up a mixed bag of reactions. It was a little slow for some, hilariously weird for others, and not everyone got its quirky style or the way it twisted regular storytelling. But whether people loved it or didn't quite get it, Robin Williams' slapstick antics and Shelley Duvall's spot-on Olive Oyl got a lot of love. why we still talk about Popeye. Though Popeye wasn't exactly a hit at the box office, it's earned itself a cult following over the years. The film's wacky humour, Robin Williams' physical comedy, and those unforgettable songs by Nielsen, like He Needs Me and I'm Mean, have given it a special place in the hearts of many. If you ask us, it's a funky, fearless flick that captures the essence of the Popeye legacy in its own wacky way. Released back on December 6, 1980, Popeye now enjoys a 58% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb. And guess what? You can catch Popeye flexing his muscles and chomping on spinach over on streaming rental services like Google Play. So why not revisit Sweet Haven for some good old nautical fun? Hey movie lovers, let's throw it back to 1980 with the hilarious hit Stir Crazy. Directed by the legendary Sidney Poitier, this laugh-out-loud comedy stars the iconic Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. These two are at their comedic best, playing a couple of New Yorkers, Skip and Harry, who wind up in the wildest mix-up involving a bank robbery they didn't commit. Next thing you know, they're trading their city life for jumpsuits in an Arizona prison. Inside, it's a whole world of crazy as Skip and Harry try to fit in with their fellow inmates, dodge trouble, and buddy up with the guards. And let's not forget the wild escape plan, hinging on Skip's sudden talent for bull riding. Who would have thought, right? What's really cool about this movie is how it rocked the box office and showed off the perfect comedic chemistry between Wilder and Pryor. They had already teamed up before in Silver Streak, but Stir Crazy took their hilarious partnership to another level. Under Poitier's skilled direction, the movie hits all the right funny bones while weaving in some sweet moments about friendship and sticking it out through tough times. Sure, some critics back in the day weren't totally sold on the pacing and felt the film leaned a bit too much into its comedy skits. But hey, the audience loved it. The film made a killing at the box office, becoming one of the top earners of 1980, and it's still a comedy classic today. And for those who dig a bit of trivia, Stir Crazy also marked a historical moment as it became the first film by a black director to rake in over $100 million. Plus, Richard Pryor's off-the-cuff genius truly shines, especially in that unforgettable walk tough scene in the prison yard. Currently, Stir Crazy is streaming for free on the Pluto TV app. So whether you're rewatching or checking it out for the first time, get ready to bust a gut with this timeless comedy caper. Calling all cinephiles. Immerse yourself in a timeless cinematic treasure with Roman Polanski's adaptation of Thomas Hardy's 1891 novel, Tess of the D'Urbervilles. The film features a breathtaking performance by Nastasia Kinski, who portrays Tess, a young woman navigating the harsh realities of 19th century England, where she grapples with love, betrayal, and the constraints of her society. Captured in the hauntingly beautiful landscapes of rural France, which stand in for Hardy's Wessex, Tess transforms the novel's grim themes into a stunning visual spectacle. The plot unfurls with Tess, a humble country girl, discovering her noble lineage connected to the D'Urbervilles. This revelation propels her towards Alec d'Urberville, portrayed by Lee Lawson, a wealthy man whose dubious intentions lead to her tragic downfall. Yet, Tess's life brightens momentarily when she meets Angel Clare, an idealistic farmer played by Peter Firth. But as she tries to forge a new future, her past continues to shadow her every step, resulting in inevitable sorrow. This film is a tribute to Polanski's late wife, Sharon Tate, who inspired him to bring this story to the screen. Tess achieved critical acclaim, earning 3 Academy Awards for Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, and Best Costume Design. And it was also a contender for Best Picture and Best Director. Interestingly, Tess was released in 1980 when Polanski found himself in exile in Europe, avoiding legal issues in the US. Despite the director's controversies, the film succeeded, particularly in Europe, where it was lauded for its evocative cinematography and Kinski's compelling portrayal. While its lengthy duration and somber narrative might not appeal to everyone, it is a revered film among enthusiasts of period dramas and literary adaptations. Are you ready to be enchanted by this tragic yet captivating story? Tess is now available for streaming on the Criterion Channel. Dive into this masterpiece and let its rich visuals and moving narrative envelop you. Don't miss out on this profound cinematic experience. Hey everyone, check this out! Any Which Way You Can, the hilariously wild 1980 action comedy flick, is still packing a punch. Starring the one and only Clint Eastwood as Philo Beddoe, this movie shows our favourite tough guy as a trucker and bare-knuckle brawler with a heart of gold. And guess what? It's the cool sequel to Every Which Way But Loose from 1978. So all your favourite characters are back. Philo's rolled up with his buddy Clyde, yep, the orangutan, and his best pal Orville, Jeffrey Lewis, not to mention his love interest, the country-singing Lynn Halsey Taylor, Sondra Locke. Here's the scoop. Philo was all set to hang up his fighting gloves for good, but then this shady criminal gang comes along and ropes him into a major showdown. He's got to face off against this super tough guy, Jack Wilson, played by William Smith. These two end up with a hefty dose of respect for each other, despite being thrown into the ring as rivals. And oh, watch out for those nutty bikers, the Black Widows, who are still sore at Philo from the first movie, and plenty of other quirky characters that add some spice to the mix. Just like before, this movie's got the perfect blend of action, comedy, and good old country tunes that'll keep you glued to your seat. Directed by Buddy Van Horn, it's light, it's fun, and those scenes with Philo and Clyde are just comedy gold. Turns out this flick was a hit back in the day, especially here in the US. Folks loved the mix of rough and tumble action and belly laughs. And yeah, while the critics were all over the place, this gem has gathered a pretty loyal fan base over the years. Released way back on December 17th, 1980, Any Which Way You Can still charms with a 20% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a respectable 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Ready for some fun? You can catch Any Which Way You Can on most streaming rental platforms. Don't miss out. It's a blast from the past that's totally worth your time. Hey movie buffs, let's dive into a classic from the vault, The Dogs of War, a gritty war adventure flick from 1980, directed by John Irvin and based on Frederick Forsyth's novel. The film stars Christopher Walken as Jamie Shannon, a rough-around-the-edges mercenary tasked with toppling the dictator of a make-believe African nation chock full of platinum. And hey, Tom Berenger is there too, playing Drew, another tough cookie in Shannon's crew. So here's the scoop. Shannon heads to this fictional place called Zangaro for a recon mission, right? He's there to check out the scene before planning a full-on coup. But things get real when he sees how badly the locals are being treated. It messes with his head, especially after he gets thrown in prison and tortured. Back in the US, he can't shake off what he's seen and felt. So, what does he do? He rounds up his mercenary pals and heads back to finish what they started. It's all about the money, but also about a guy who's totally done with life giving him the runaround. The Dogs of War isn't just your regular shoot-'em-up. It digs into the nitty-gritty of loyalty, greed, and the ethics of being a mercenary amidst the complex political backdrop of post-colonial Africa. Walken absolutely nails it, bringing this stone-cold yet deeply conflicted character to life. Despite being a pretty solid film with some real-deal military tactics, thanks to weapons expert and Vietnam vet Dale Dye, it wasn't a home run at the box office. But it's picked up a cult following over the years, especially among folks who like their military dramas with a side of moral complexity. Critics back in the day had mixed feelings. Some were all in for the realism and intense themes, but others thought it was a tad slow and heavy compared to other 80s action flicks. Either way, Walken's intense performance and the authentic military vibe have kept this film on the radar for fans of the genre. Released on December 17th, 1980, The Dogs of War has a decent 70% critics score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb. And guess what? You can stream The Dogs of War right now for free over on the Pluto TV app. Check it out and see where you stand on this battle-hardened classic. Nightkill is a 1980 thriller TV movie that stars Jaclyn Smith, Robert Mitchum, and Mike Connors. Directed by Ted Post, the film centers around a wealthy woman named Catherine Atwell, played by Smith, who finds herself in a tangled web of deceit, murder, and suspense. In the story, Catherine is trapped in an unhappy marriage to her abusive, wealthy husband, Wendell Atwell, played by Mike Connors. She begins an affair with his friend Steve, James Franciscus, and the two plot to murder Wendell and cover it up to claim his fortune. Things get complicated, however, when their plan unravels, leading to a series of suspenseful twists. Robert Mitchum plays a detective named Leetor Donner, who begins to suspect that there's more going on behind the scenes of Wendell's supposed disappearance. Nightkill is notable for its dark tone and suspenseful atmosphere, a common trait of Ted Post's directing style. It was shot primarily in Phoenix, Arizona, and captures an eerie, tense ambience, especially in scenes where Catherine grapples with the consequences of her actions. While the film is not widely recognized today, it remains a cult favorite among fans of 1980s thrillers for its atmospheric storytelling and Jaclyn Smith's performance in a departure from her Charlie's Angels fame. Notably, star Jaclyn Smith stood up to director Ted Post after the director informed her about a nude shower scene. Smith reportedly told Post she would not do the scene, leading to Post blowing up at her and demanding to know how they would film the scene. Smith replied, "You're the director, you figure it out, but if you insist on nudity, you'd better get yourself another girl." Smith stayed in the movie and the nude scene was cut. Ironically, the nude scene would have had to been cut, even if it had been filmed. After competing production on Nightkill, producers cancelled the theatrical release and sold the film to NBC in an attempt to recoup production costs, which topped out at around $4.4 million. Nightkill aired on NBC on December 18, 1980. The film has no score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.5 out of 10 rating from users on IMDb. Nightkill isn't available on traditional streaming rental services, but you can watch it in a fan upload on YouTube. Link in the description. Hey, have you caught that classic flick, 9 to 5? It's the hilarious 1980 comedy that not only had us rolling in the aisles, but also punched a serious message about workplace equality right into the mainstream. Directed by Colin Higgins, it stars the fabulous trio Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, and Dolly Parton as Judy, Violet, and Doralee. Three office workers who've had it up to here with their nightmare of a boss, Franklin Hart Jr., played to perfection by Dabney Coleman. So these ladies bond over their shared workplace woes and cook up a wild plan to flip the script on their sleazy, hypocritical boss. What kicks off as their wildest workplace fantasy spirals into a hilarious yet empowering series of events where they accidentally end up kidnapping their boss and turning their office into a fair and respectful workplace. Talk about taking power back. Now, not only was 9 to 5 a hit at the box office, but it sparked serious conversations about gender inequality at work. It's also where Dolly Parton's smash hit song 9 to 5 came from, topping the charts and snagging an Oscar nod. The movie's impact was so lasting that it inspired a Broadway musical in 2009 and even a documentary in 2019 called Still Working 9 to 5. Fun fact, Jane Fonda herself came up with the idea for 9 to 5. Originally, she thought it would be a drama, until she figured a comedy would draw a bigger crowd, and boy, was she right. Plus, she roped in Dolly Parton to act, even though it was Dolly's first film. Dolly said she'd do it only if she could write the theme song, Now that's a deal we're all thankful for. Released back on December 19th, 1980, 9 to 5 still holds up today with critics and fans. You can check it out on most streaming rental services. Why not make it your next movie night pick? The Formula 1980 is a crime drama thriller directed by John G. Avildsen and starring George C. Scott and Marlon Brando. The film delves into themes of political and corporate corruption, centering around a mysterious formula for synthetic fuel developed by the Nazis during World War II. Plot summary. The story begins with Los Angeles police detective Barney Kane, played by George C. Scott, investigating the murder of his friend and colleague. The trail leads him to a much larger conspiracy involving the Formula, a top-secret German research project from World War II aimed at producing synthetic fuel, which could potentially free the world from its dependency on oil. This formula is highly sought after by powerful energy interests, sparking a deadly web of intrigue, espionage, and murder. Kane's investigation takes him from Los Angeles to Europe, where he encounters Adam Stifel, played by Marlon Brando, a manipulative oil magnate who will stop at nothing to ensure his monopoly on the world's energy resources. Themes. The film explores the intersection of government, corporate interests, and ethical responsibility. At its heart, the formula raises questions about the lengths to which powerful entities will go to control essential resources, a reflection of anxieties about energy shortages and corporate greed that were prevalent in the 1970s and early 1980s. Reception. The film received mixed reviews. Critics praised Scott's and Brando's performances, especially Brando's portrayal of the ruthless Stifel, but the film was criticised for its pacing and complexity, which some found hard to follow. It has since gained a modest cult following for its intriguing premise and powerful lead performances. Trivia. This was one of Marlon Brando's few roles in the late 70s and early 80s after his career slowed down. The movie was based on the novel The Formula by Steve Shagan, who also wrote the screenplay. The Formula was released on December 19, 1980. The film holds a 30% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb. The Formula is available on most streaming rental services. Hey movie buffs! Gear up for a heartfelt journey with Tribute, directed by the talented Bob Clark and penned by Bernard Slade. This touchy story stars the legendary Jack Lemmon along with the fabulous Lee Remick and Robbie Benson. Meet Scotty Templeton, a true veteran of showbiz with a life spent dazzling the New York theatrical scene. Though he's the guy everyone knows, his personal life has hit a few snags. He's divorced and on rocky terms with his son. But life throws a curveball. Scotty finds out he's got leukemia. While he's grappling with this, his ex-wife Maggie pops into town and they have their moments of reflection. Meanwhile, Scotty's trying his best to mend things with his son, Judd, who's dealing with his own issues. Plus, there's Sally Haynes, a charming young model Scotty meets in the hospital who might just be perfect for Judd. With a tribute dinner coming up, Scotty's determined to fix some broken bridges while he can. A little trivia. Tribute is inspired by the life of Harvey Orkin, a Hollywood big shot known for managing stars like Richard Burton and Peter Sellers. Orkin was not just about managing talent. He also tried his hand at writing and even appeared on a BBC show that was pretty controversial back in the day. Jack Lemmon, who first brought Scotty to life on Broadway, absolutely loved playing this character. He even bagged a Tony nomination for it in 1979. Though the movie didn't smash the box office, it's got its unique blend of laughs and tears that Jack Lemmon believed was one of the finest mixes since The Apartment. Released on December 15, 1980, Tribute might be tricky to find on streaming services, but you can catch a fan upload on YouTube. Give it a watch and see why it holds a special place in many hearts, despite its low-key box office performance. Who knows? It might just become your new favourite. Hey, movie lovers! Ready to dive into a classic that'll tug at your heartstrings? Check out Inside Moves, directed by the talented Richard Donner and penned by the dynamic duo Valerie Curtin and Barry Levinson. Released way back on December 19th, 1980, this film features a stellar cast including John Savage, David Morse, Diana Scarwid, and the Oscar-winning Harold Roussel. This was Harold's first film since his iconic role in The Best Years of Our Lives. Talk about a comeback. Here's the scoop. After a tough break, Rory, who's now partially crippled, starts afresh in a shabby Oakland house. He finds solace in a local bar packed with folks just like him and quickly befriends Jerry, the bartender with a bum leg. Life at the bar is never dull. Jerry impresses the Golden State Warriors and even gets the chance to fix his leg thanks to a generous player. He hits the big time in basketball, but success changes him and he starts ghosting his old friends, including Rory. Things get even messier when Jerry and Rory both fall for the new waitress, Louise. The story doesn't just stop at drama, it's about resilience, dreams, and a quirky sense of humour that keeps everyone going. Despite the ups and downs, it's their dreams that make them true winners. With a 67% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a solid 7/10 on IMDb, Inside Moves is a heartfelt story you wouldn't want to miss. Plus, you can stream it totally free on the Tubi app. Go check it out and see why sometimes the underdogs are the biggest winners of all. Hey music lovers, tune into the story of Neil Diamond rocking the big screen in The Jazz Singer, directed by the duo Richard Fleischer and Sidney J. Furie. This movie dives into the life of Yussel Rabinovich, a Jewish cantor with a twist. Dreaming big, Yussel, played by Neil, wants to ditch the traditional path for a shot at pop music stardom under his new name, Jess Robin. Setting out from NYC to LA, he's all in to make his dreams come true, even if it means ruffling some family feathers. Along the way, he teams up with a feisty manager who's all for his music dream. But as he climbs up the ladder, Jess finds himself torn between his new world and the ties back home. Now, here's a juicy tidbit. Sir Laurence Olivier, who's also in the movie, apparently wasn't a fan during filming. Legend has it he blurted out, "This pisses shit" over dinner once, not knowing a reporter was eavesdropping. And talk about drama, director Sidney J. Furie got the boot mid-filming because he kept changing the script. The set was so chaotic, actors were winging scenes. Despite all the behind-the-scenes drama, Neil Diamond poured his heart into the movie, creating and singing 10 new songs live on film. But yikes, he even snagged the first Razzie Award for Worst Actor and swore off dramatic roles after. Critics weren't kind either, calling out Neil's acting and the film's super sappy vibe. Released back in 1980, The Jazz Singer didn't exactly wow the critics, sitting at a 26% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Still curious? The Jazz Singer is streaming for free on the Tubi app. If you're up for a mix of drama, music, and a slice of Hollywood history, give it a watch. It's a classic in its own right. Hey movie buffs, gather round. We're diving back into 1980 with the classic whodunit, The Mirror Cracked, directed by Guy Hamilton. Can you believe it's got Angela Lansbury, Elizabeth Taylor, Rock Hudson, Tony Curtis, Geraldine Chaplin, and Kim Novak lighting up the screen? Talk about a star-packed cast. Here's the scoop. It's 1953 in the quaint English village of St. Mary Mead, home to none other than Miss Jane Marple. The peaceful village is buzzing with excitement as a Hollywood film crew descends to shoot a historical drama about Mary, Queen of Scots, and Elizabeth I. With big stars like Marina Rudd and Lola Brewster on set, sparks are bound to fly since these two are notorious rivals. Marina's coming off a rough patch, aiming for a major comeback, while Lola's just stirring things up as usual. Hold on to your hats because the drama isn't just on screen. The film crew throws a swanky reception at Gossington Hall and the whole village is invited. When Marina and Lola come face to face, let's just say the gloves come off. But the real shocker comes when a superfan ends up dead after sipping a cocktail meant for Marina. With all signs pointing to an intended hit on Marina, the mystery deepens. And trust me, you'll be on the edge of your seat trying to figure out who's behind it all. Here's a juicy tidbit. At this point in her career, Elizabeth Taylor was facing some tough times, but that didn't stop Rock Hudson from insisting she join the film. He even managed to get her on board without busting the budget. Talk about friendship goals. Despite the critics being divided, seeing these legends together again is a real treat. Curious how it all plays out? The Mirror Cracked is rocking a 62% on Rotten Tomatoes and a decent 6.2 on IMDb. Best part? You can stream it right now on the Plex app. So, what are you waiting for? Grab some popcorn and get ready for a throwback thriller that's sure to keep you guessing till the very end. Hey movie buffs, have you caught Seems Like Old Times yet? Directed by Jay Sandrich and penned by the legendary Neil Simon, this comedy brings together the hilarious Chevy Chase, the ever-charming Goldie Hawn, and the impeccable Charles Grodin for a laugh-a-minute ride. Picture this, Nick Gardenia, a down-on-his-luck writer, is chilling in a cozy cabin by the sea in Big Sur. His peace is shattered when a couple of bank robbers crash the party, force him at gunpoint to rob a bank in Carmel, and then dump him on the side of the road. Poor Nick even trips in the bank and lands a starring role on the security camera. Talk about a bad day. Now, the plot thickens when this photo lands on the desk of LA's District Attorney, Ira Parks, whose assistant recognizes Nick as Ira's wife's ex. With Ira eyeing the Attorney General spot, he's none too thrilled, fearing this could wreck his campaign. But wait, there's more. Ira's wife, Glenda, is not just any lawyer. She's the public defender type, who's all about turning her clients' lives around, usually by having them do odd jobs at her house. Imagine her shock when she finds out her ex is mixed up in a bank heist. Cut to Nick, ditched by the robbers, making his way to Glenda and Ira's place in Brentwood. He even ends up inadvertently robbing a gas station for some candy bars on his way. As you do when you're desperate, right? At a party at their home, Glenda stumbles upon Nick hiding in her garage. Despite the awkward timing, with law enforcement big shots milling about her house, she decides to help him out. Neil Simon, during a 2-week rehearsal, tweaked the screenplay to better match the vibe Chevy Chase and Goldie Hawn bring. Simon says he aimed to capture Chevy's bad boy charm, adding a bit of unpredictability to every scene. This flick is a modern nod to the 1942 classic Talk of the Town. Both stories spin around a guy on the run from the cops, finding refuge with a protective heroine. Critics gave mixed reviews. Some tipped their hats to Goldie Hawn's performance, while others felt the script was a touch dated. But hey, the box office told another story, raking in a cool $43 million and marking a victorious season for Goldie Hawn with her back-to-back hits. Released on December 19th, 1980, Seems Like Old Times still holds a decent score on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. If you're up for some old-school laughs, check it out on your favourite streaming rental service. You won't regret it. Hey movie buffs, check out Hawk the Slayer, directed by the talented Terry Marcel and featuring the legendary Jack Palance alongside John Terry. Dive into this epic sword and sorcery adventure where family drama meets magical mayhem. It's all about Hawk, a righteous warrior, who, with his motley crew of fighters, is on a mission to overthrow his evil brother, who's not just a power-hungry baddie, but their dad's killer too. Speaking of intense, did you hear about what happened on set? During a heated battle scene, Jack Palance actually got stabbed when John Terry's sword accidentally hit him. But guess what? Palance, being the absolute legend that he is, just powered through and finished the scene. Even the director, Terry Marcel, was stunned, but Palance shrugged it off and kept filming. What a pro, right? And for all you Star Wars fans, you'll find some familiar vibes in this one. Hawk the Slayer, throws nods to your beloved galaxy far, far away with things like the Power, a magical flying sword, and characters that might remind you of C-3PO, R2-D2, and even Darth Vader. Voltan, the baddie, sports an outfit and half-helmet that scream villain chic, kind of like a mix between Darth Vader and the Phantom of the Opera. Though it rocked the UK back in 1980, it missed its big American theatre debut thanks to distributor drama. But no worries, it found its way onto CBS as a late-night movie in 1982. Want to give it a watch? Hawk the Slayer is streaming for free on Tubi. Perfect for a throwback movie night if you're into campy Star Wars spin-offs or just love a good old fantasy flick. Grab your popcorn and enjoy the adventure. Hey, movie buffs! Buckle up for a wild ride with First Family, a 1980 satirical comedy from the mind of Buck Henry. You might know him from classics like The Graduate and Catch-22. This flick stars Bob Newhart as President Manfred Link, a hilariously inept leader of a fictional United States. Gilda Radner lights up the screen as his mischievous daughter Gloria, and Madeline Kahn steals scenes as the quirky First Lady, Constance. Plus, with Rip Torn, Harvey Korman and Richard Benjamin in the mix, you know you're in for some laughs. So, what's the scoop on this movie? President Link is desperately trying to buddy up with the fictional African nation of Upper Gorm, all to score some political points. But as you can guess, things go hilariously sideways. The movie digs into the zany side of American politics, showing up the silliness and mishaps of political leaders. And it doesn't stop there. The family antics and oddball relationships are just as entertaining. Now, heads up. When it hit the screens, critics weren't exactly throwing roses at it. They thought it missed the mark compared to Henry's other work, calling the humour a bit hit or miss. And yeah, it didn't really kill it at the box office either. But hey, if you're into off-the-wall political satire, this might just be your cup of tea. Released back on Christmas Day in 1980, First Family now holds a 20% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 4.3 out of 10. Not stellar, but hey, sometimes a movie's just got to grow on you. Curious? You can find First Family on most streaming platforms. Give it a watch and see for yourself. Maybe it's just the hidden gem you've been looking for. Hey sci-fi and horror fans, ready to dive into a hidden gem from 1980? Let's talk about The Return, a spooky blend of alien mystery directed by Graydon Clark. Starring the talented Jan Michael Vincent, Sybil Shepherd and Martin Landau, this flick has got some serious star power. So what's this movie all about? Picture this. A small town in New Mexico. Everything seems normal until, bam! Strange events start to pop up, giving off major alien vibes. We follow two childhood buddies, Wayne and Jennifer, who stumbled upon mysterious lights and weird happenings one night during their youth. Fast forward to adulthood, they're reunited as these eerie occurrences and unexplainable deaths kick off again. Together, they dive deep into these paranormal mysteries, trying to connect the dots back to an alien force that messed with them years ago. Originally set to hit theatres in 1980, The Return got shelved and made its debut on HBO in 1982 instead. Looking to watch? The Return might be tricky to find on mainstream streaming services, but here's a treat. You can catch it for free on YouTube. Just check out the link in the description and get ready for a blast from the past. The Return was supposed to be released in December of 1980. The film has no score on Rotten Tomatoes, but it does have a 3.8 out of 10 on IMDb.